So, as you know, if you have any questions or any comment, you are welcome to speak it or write it in the chat box. Also, if you are watching on YouTube, you are also welcome to write a brief question in the chat box on YouTube, as I am monitoring that channel as well. So welcome to Satsang. Just a few words about Satsang in this meeting. So our true nature is the stillness, the peace. It cannot be spoken, but it can be known as your very self. This knowingness is a sort of a dissolution of all that you know. Which makes room for our innate presence, and which makes room for the contemplation and the joy and the peace. We are so habituated to live under the assumption that there is something incomplete, that there is something that I am that is limited and personal. And in the midst of this vastness, the vastness of being, we experience a sort of a bubble, a sort of a haze, which is due to our extracting ourselves out of the totality. We do that without knowing it, by defining ourselves and by feeling ourselves as a separate entity that is apart from the totality. So we are unable to live our wholeness. We are unable to breathe a deep breath, a full breath. We are unable to rest, sink into being. We remain on a certain plateau. We're unable to dissolve. And there is a path to awakening. And this path is your choice, your personal path. You find it, you explore it, you discover it moment by moment. By surrendering every moment, everything that is surrenderable, everything that you notice. So that all the limitations, which are just imaginary contractions on imaginary realms that you hold on to, imaginary thoughts and beliefs, so that you can be free of them. So you can enjoy the wonder of being without being anybody, without being anyone. Fully exposed, fully transparent. Like the wide open sky has no name, nothing defines the vastness. Similarly, what you are, what you truly are, this you, this I, precedes any definition, precedes any description, precedes any formulation. So you go from what is known in the letting go an ongoing letting go. You go from the opaque to the translucent. The opacity is the opacity of thought and believing that I am defined. I am discoverable via thought. I am known via thought. While in fact, thought is like the mist, like the flight of a bird, like the splattering of the rain. There is nothing to it. But mind impressions. None of these mind impressions define you. They are like passing clouds. They serve no purpose whatsoever in knowing yourself. But you can put them to good use by wondering, what is it? Because what is it refers to what am I? And what am I refers to the wordless, to the formless, to that which cannot be spoken, cannot be perceived. Before the object, before the form, is the what am I? What is it? There is no way to find that which is beyond the states. There is no way to find that which is beyond the realms by remaining interested in the realms, by remaining interested in the perceptions and the senses. You have to go to the question that has no answer. What am I? What is it? What is the reality of my experience? Question that stops the mind in its track, reveals the silence, reveals the stillness. You are this unformulated, unspoken reality. You can feel the vibrations and the energetics within your body, the warmth, the sensations. Very intimately, they're available to you very intimately. It's the same intimacy of perceiving the clouds, perceiving the fields, perceiving the oak tree in the yard. Like the sensation within your body are available to you intimately. The entire realm is available to you in the same intimacy. It's a seamless field of being. That has no edges. That is the wholeness that I am, the wholeness of being. All personal questions and all personal issues arise out of the primary assumption that I am this man or woman, that I am this specific particular person. While in fact, this particular person is just your costume, a temporary outfit that you assume in your dream, in your playful dream. But once you mistake yourself to be that dream character, you sacrifice your wholeness, you sacrifice the vastness, the freedom, the seamless quality of being, the seamless vastness of being, you sacrifice it at the expense of personal experiences and personal travails, personal issues, and personal concerns. Which deep down you don't enjoy. So you have to sort of come to see this unseen assumption. You have to perceive that moment by moment you are defining yourself. In your inner silence, you're defining yourself. And in defining yourself, you're living a life of concern about that which you define yourself to be. There is a jewel for you to discover in this realm of the human experience. And this jewel is your very self, not what you imagine yourself to be, but your very self. To dig for it, although it is intimately your very self, closer than close, you still have to look into it. And you cannot look into it if you don't see through your assumption that you are somebody, that you are a particular body mind. When you come upon hearing this Dharma, this teaching, this sharing, it's a pivotal time. And you have to take a full advantage of it, whichever way you can, whichever way you can figure it out. Allow it to soak through your being. It's completely soak into the presence, into beingness. Allow it to fill your entire being, to radiate through your entire being. Surrender every sensation to it. Your entire being, every particle, every aspect of yourself. Surrender it to this mystery. It is unfolding within you. So if there are any questions, any comments, anything you would like to share, you're welcome to do so.
Maggie?
Hello, Zoe.
Hi. I would like to hear you speak about aggression. And um, it seems, well, I had an incident happen over the weekend where there was two very aggressive people, and I haven't had that in quite a long time. And I noticed there was more awareness this time, so that was kind of delightful. But in general, could you talk about living dharmically? Because I tell you, it just brought up huge, all kinds of things for me to look at, and I'd appreciate some of your insight. Thank you.
Let me start by saying that there is nothing that is a part of ourself. Everything is an aspect of ourself. This does not mean that we have that recognition. In our mental states, we imagine ourselves to be apart from the totality. And there are mental states that are very insecure, and we believe they need protection. But at the same time, at some level, we know that that is not true. So already within the separate mind state, there already is an inner conflict. When all conflicts are inner conflicts, they may seem to have an outer aspect to them, but they're an inner conflict that is being expressed or that is being repressed.
Mm.
So already there is within our separate mind state an inner conflict.
Mm.
And it may express itself as aggression as resistance, or as bullying, as some form of an expression of conflict. And
can you say that again real slowly, Magdi? So within my inner mind state, this conflict exists.
yes, there is within the separate self, within the separate mind state, there is an inner conflict. There's an inner conflict with the falsehood of separation and with the reality of being, which is non-dual, which is wholesome. So the separate impression is like a whirlpool in the ocean. It's very, there is no whirlpool in the ocean without conflict.
So something is spinning in me.
Yes. But this does not mean that there is an awareness of that spin.
Okay.
We become more aware of the spin when it expresses itself. In you mentioned aggression would be one example of the
Okay.
way in which it expresses itself.
Mm.
And because in fact there is nothing that is separate from the self. There is nobody who is actually aggressing you or being vile to you.
Yeah.
It is one of the ways in which the inner conflict is expressing itself.
Mm. Mm.
So you mentioned dharmic living.
Mm-hmm.
Dharma refers to wholeness. So living as the wholeness, as the totality, there is a recognition of that is myself.
Mm. Mm.
And then there may be the comprehension that to go against oneself is like an implosion. It's an implosion of being.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt like it for sure.
That it it just points to the utter madness of it.
Oh.
But it's possible to take it all in, meaning to recognize the various energetics within oneself, within one's life, within one's body. And this recognition is a silent recognition that doesn't have a direction. It is not. That doesn't have a personal agenda or a personal goal to it. It's just the recognition of what is. And the recognition of the interconnectivity, the interconnection, which is more intimate even than that. It's like the interconnection of 2 drops of water. So then the inner and outer conflict come to the stillness of awareness. And which is quite different from weaving a story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because in presence there is no story. Only on the stage there is a story. Only when you get on the stage and other players get on the stage. In your body, in your being, it's a totality. It's a one breath that's embracing everything, that's touching everything, that is permeating everything. It embraces everything and everyone. The one breath that we all breathe. That's this one breath. Is a magical there's magic in this understanding. And the flip coin of that is thinking and emoting, self-blaming, blaming the other, and all the various trickery of the mind, of the body mind, to avoid the recognition of this inner conflict that is completely empty. Which is fueled by our resistance to stillness, which is fueled by our thinking, by our parrot-like verbiage. That there is no freshness to it.
Yeah, there's no peace in it either.
No. Peace is the recognition of peace. it's lived and it's living itself. In a complete absence, a complete beingness as everything, non-dual, non-separate. That's why it's not personal. Not a personal. Peace is not personal. It's beyond the person. It can invite the person to the peace, but when the person comes to the peace, it dissolves into peace because it becomes a medium of peace rather than the possessor of it, rather than the owner of it. It becomes a radiance of peace, which is radiating through us. But it radiates through everything when it radiates through us, because we're no longer this limited vessel. So this is a question from Debbie. Debbie, you ask, if there is only one, then there are not me and others. How can I explore that so I experience that truly? I experience me and others. Thank you, Debbie. When you are looking at the world, having put on a set of purple glasses, you will perceive everything purple. You will perceive a purple sky, a purple snow, the trees are purple, everything is purple. Similarly, when we assume that I am this woman, I am this person, I have put on a form upon the formless. I have tainted my perception with that belief, and that belief will permeate the body mind, and we will perceive and we will feel that there is me and others. We will not only perceive an external world and separate others and me and my life and my past and my future and all this, but we will feel that we are in this body, or we are this body, and we are in this world as somebody. So in your question, Debbie, you need to investigate that belief. So somebody tells you, no, the world is not purple, the world is purple because you have a purple set of glasses, but you don't know where to look or how to look at where the glasses are and how to remove the glasses. So specifically, you need to look at the belief, at the assumption that you are a woman, that you are a person. It's like in Christianity, they say the original sin. It's your initial, the initial vasana, the initial core, the seed of ignorance is I am born. It's the belief that I am born. So you need to take a very close look at that. That I am Debbie, that I am this person. The I am a person is a download. Because before I am a person, there's I am. And I am has no qualitative. It is not male or female. It has no gender. The I am has no phenomenal quality of being tall or short or handsome or ugly or thin or fat or whatever. So before I am a woman, contemplate I am. Just I am. What is this I that is? The I is amness. The I am is one, it's not I and am. I am is amness. Contemplate amness, beingness. And this I am, which is amness, beingness, is also aware. So it's amness, beingness, awareness. Amness, awareness. Beingness, knowingness. Contemplate that before the gender comes in, man, woman, before the I am is born, I am is 30 years old, I am is going to California, whatever. Before the story, pure I am, contemplate I am. The contemplation of I am cannot be done via thinking. Because when thinking comes in, it's taking you from the I am to this or that. The I am precedes thought. It is the intimacy of being and I am are one. So you know I am as intimacy, the intimacy of being, not the intimacy with your partner, or not the intimacy with your colleagues at work, not the intimacy with your dog, or it's the intimacy of the I with the I. The self is intimate within itself. First start with this intimacy, the intimacy of I am. And at some time, you can also come to the contemplation of that is also I am. Meaning whatever you perceive, whatever you conceive, and whatever you feel, whatever you emote, are intimate with the I am. At the sensations of your feet, the sensation of your back or the breath. They're intimate with the I am. In this very perception, there is an intimacy between the I am and the perception. There is an intimacy between the I am and the conception, the thought. But first, you have to start with the I am. You can also ask yourself, how could I be a person? How could I be Debbie? How could I be this body if I perceive the body, if I perceive the thought? Because Debbie is a name, is a thought. It's also images. And the images, you perceive them, but you are not the image. Why do you believe that you are the image? Why do you believe that you are Debbie? The body, similarly. You perceive the body. You perceive the body as perceptions. You perceive the body as bodily sensations. Why do you believe you are these perceptions, these bodily sensations? You are not what you perceive. Contemplate that you are not that which you perceive. That's the first steps in your contemplation of the I am. Once it becomes clear to you that you are the consciousness, the awareness that perceives, and not what is perceived, not the body that is perceived, not the mind that is perceived. And that you come to a certain clarity about that. Then you can inquire into all that I perceive is intimately myself. So there is a certain work you have to do, Debbie. It's not, there isn't a magic wand that answers your question experientially. It's really important for you to understand that the answer to your question about the ending of experiencing me and another is not, has to be whole, has to be complete. You have to sort of live this experience. You have to come to the answer in your own experience, not just sort of read the menu, because reading the menu will not satisfy your hunger. So continue to probe into that initial belief that I am Debbie. And in time, this belief, when we probe into it, will start to fall apart. And our true nature, which is the wholeness of consciousness, will shine. It's already there, shining, but the veils of identification are preventing you from experiencing this totality. But when you will probe into this belief, then the veils will thin out and the light of consciousness will shine. And your questions will be answered progressively, and at some point it will be very clear to you. It's not a freebie, it's not going to come to you just because you are interested. It's going to come to you because you are interested and because you are pursuing your interest. You have to go for it. You have to take the shovel and the pick and go to work. It's contemplation on to contemplate and explore and meditate and reflect upon the teaching and live as much as you can your understanding that all is the self, that I am not so separate from others and from anything, that I'm not separate. Try it out. We have all lived the separate me long enough and we're exhausted. So try it out. Okay.
Hi, Magdi.
Yes, hello, Anne. Okay. Yes, hello, Anne.
Hello. I don't really know what I want to say, but just as you're speaking there, and even if I'm not on here, I'm always listening to your satsang, and in the daytime too. I often replay it in the morning because it's quite late now.
Okay.
And you know, sometimes I'm tired. I don't always take it all in, but I just want to say that I just love the way you explain things, and your words for me are very exact and just resonate so deeply in me, and they really just calm my spirit, whatever spirit is. They just work for me, and so much has dropped away from listening to you. I even write phrases down that you say because they just work for me so much. And you know, and I do work really hard to unpick all the habits and to wake up to see, because it is such an ingrained, I mean, I'm 59 years old, and there's so many habitual beliefs and patterns, and you know, you just fall asleep to again and again. And but the you were talking about, you know, taking a shovel and a pick, and I think one of the best pointings that you gave me right at the beginning was, what is the reality of my experience? And that's my pick. If I had to choose one tool to use, it would be that one, because to me that's the ultimate truth. Because whenever I use that, like you say, the mind just stops, and there's just a deep emptiness of nothing. You know, it's like there is no person there when I say that. There's just no one. And that grows in using that those spaces have grown. And you know, like you say, you know, you point to these things, but we have to walk the path ourselves. You know, we have to find the way through the woods. And I don't feel I'm fully out the woods yet, but I'm certainly feeling I'm heading in the right direction. And I know that, and it gives me confidence in that, because there's so much more joy and peace coming into my life. And even with a lot of illness that I suffer, And you've even helped me with that, because you spoke to me just a couple of weeks ago about illness. And I listened to you, and then in the night I was so ill, and I put your words on, and something just clicked. And although there was still pain there, some part of the suffering just dropped. And it was such a breakthrough for me to see that. It's really changed. It's just a deepening of that. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm talking a lot, but I'm just so grateful for everything, and particularly your pointings. Yeah, I just want to say that really, and say thank you. And if you can pick anything out of that, then I love the last girl's question, because, you know, when you're constantly looking at people, identifying with person and living in the world, you know, it's hard to imagine yourself as everything, or to be everything.
And we don't need to. Well, actually, we can't come to this experience of wholeness without there is some preparatory work. There are some groundwork that gets done, which is basically noticing, looking at this initial belief that there is here somebody, there is somebody that is a me, a separate me. To look at that, you know, to look at that and compare it to your experience, because your experience is so true. Not your thinking, but just somehow to be able to sift your thinking, the download from your direct experience, because in the direct experience it's just this, just presence, just presence. And then the mind spins, oh, this and that and me and her, and but before the spin of the mind, and it's available to us, although it's in some cases it's but it is available to us when we turn our attention to how is it, how, not to think about how is it, but what is it like? What is it like right now? What is my experience like right now? And when you ask yourself this question, what is my experience like right now, you come to complete silence.
Yeah, definitely.
And in this silence, all is revealed as that, as that silence. So we do say in the teaching, sometimes we say, okay, try it on and see how it works. We've already tried for so many lifetimes. Yeah. I am this man, I am this woman, I am this person, I am this great person, I'm this bad person, blah, blah, blah. Try it for size and see how it works. Play with it. I am all. And it's until the flavor of that, the perfume of that starts to become your direct experience. It's true that it's sort of it's sort of shallow, but it's not completely shallow. There is something in it. There's something in it. Like, for example, somebody who through some amnesia forgot that this person is their mother. But we all know that this person is their mother. So we tell them, okay, fine. I know it's not your experience, but try to see her as your mother.
Yeah.
We know We know
Yeah.
that this person, this woman, is their mother, but they don't. So, in a way, something like that. There is something to it, but of course, there is also a lot of groundwork that needs to be done, contemplation, inquiry, wondering, and in our out of our love for truth, many insights come to us. We don't know how or when, and sometimes we don't even know that they did. But then later on, we find that there must have been a seed there, because we start to see the plant, we start to feel the peace, the joy, we start to experience this intimacy.
Well, I know that the stillness and the peace, the quietness of the mind, that is getting longer. You know, it's elongating, so there's not as much chatter and narration going on. And it's funny what you said. That it reminds me that I do use my imagination sometimes to sort of visualize, and well, it just happens naturally that I just imagine not being there. So the world's going on and I'm not in it. And I just find that really useful. It's just, it just feels so true.
Yeah, because if you look at your experience and at your body without imposing or superimposing an image, in your experience of the body right now in this moment, without superimposing an image, it has no form and no shape.
No.
There are no borders in your experience. So you go to your experience and close your eyes and go to your experience of the body and the breath and the sensation. You don't find any location or any place where you are not, where that sensation is not, where this body is not. So when you contemplate your perception, you can somehow tweak the old model, which says that I am here and I'm perceiving that. You can tweak that old paradigm to this perception is arising within me, to myself, within myself, that this perception is within myself. Can you get a sense of that? That this perception is not out there, that the perception is very intimate with myself.
Yeah, I have had that. In fact, recently what's happening more and more, which is really good, is that the images of these personas that have been created of who I think I am and changed over the years, to being successful, not successful, victim, whatever they are, these sort of masks and the words that go with it. So images and words kind of float by, and then they just sort of go up in smoke much quicker.
Yeah.
And then there's just nothing. There's just nothing.
It's this nothing is presence, is beingness.
Yeah.
So this nothing. This nothing is knows itself as this or as that. Just knows itself as this vastness, you could say, this beingness or this presence of Satchitananda, beingness presence, beingness awareness.
It's becoming clear that all that I thought was is it is just imagined.
Everything that is
It's
imagined,
a structure that's been made up.
yes, and anything that is imagined or made up has an arising and a dissolving.
Yeah.
Only,
Yeah, that's becoming obvious, yeah.
only that which does not have a beginning or an ending is.
Yeah. Because the being is always there. It's, you know, it's all the cliched things that I've heard, but now becoming my reality. Like, you know, it's not something that comes and goes. It's constant.
Yes.
It doesn't move anywhere, you know, and there are certain things I can just remind myself of as I go through the day to pull me back into that awareness, which is I haven't moved, I haven't gone anywhere. And that's becoming my reality, even as I'm moving around.
Yes.
And it's just such a beautiful message. And I just love this. It's a journey, but it's not a journey. It's just the best thing ever. So
Thank you, Anne.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, Lori writes on the YouTube, brilliant, simple truth. You are not that which is perceived. And she also says, such a beautiful sharing, Anne.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, next meeting will be Saturday instead of Sunday. Or am I correct, Tara? Is it? Well, anyways, we'll send a notice in the meetup. So thank you all. Yes.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, very lovely. Was I correct? It was Saturday? Online, yes. Online, Saturday, yes. Correct. Correct. Okay. Okay. Anne, Elsa, George, Holly, Maria. Hola, Maria. Richard and Zoe. Namaste. Richard.
Thank you.